According to the National Electrical Code, specifically Section 210.52, C3, peninsular countertops and work surfaces require receptacles under certain conditions. The code addresses countertop and work surface receptacle placement in dwelling units. When applying this to a hotel, it's important to consider if the hotel room is designed as a dwelling unit. If the hotel room incorporates features of a dwelling unit, like a kitchenette, then the countertop receptacle rules apply. Let's examine the requirements more closely. The NEC specifies that a peninsular countertop is an extension of the main countertop, open on at least two sides. For a peninsular countertop or work surface, at least one receptacle outlet must be installed where a long dimension is 12 inches or greater and a short dimension is 6 inches or greater. Receptacle outlets must be located along the wall line on the countertop or work surface, or within 12 inches of the countertop or work surface. This means the receptacle must be readily accessible. The purpose of these rules is to ensure that electrical outlets are conveniently available for using appliances and electronic devices on countertops and work surfaces. Without these outlets, occupants would likely use extension cords, creating a potential tripping hazard and increasing the risk of electrical shock. So, if a peninsular counter in a hotel meets the dimensional criteria, which includes a long dimension of 12 inches or greater and a short dimension of 6 inches or greater, then at least one receptacle is required. There are some exceptions to the receptacle placement requirement. For example, if the wall space behind the countertop is obstructed or not suitable for mounting a receptacle, the code allows for alternative placement options. However, in general, the receptacle should be readily accessible and conveniently located. When installing receptacles, it's important to use appropriate wiring methods and materials. The wiring must be properly sized to handle the anticipated load, and the receptacle itself must be suitable for the intended use. Ground fault circuit interrupter, or GFCI, protection is often required for receptacles located near sinks or other wet areas. This helps to protect occupants from electrical shock. When inspecting a hotel room for compliance with the NEC, it's important to carefully examine the countertops and work surfaces to ensure that receptacles are properly installed. Look for any missing or damaged receptacles and verify that the wiring is properly connected. If any problems are found, they should be corrected immediately to ensure the safety of occupants. In addition to the NEC, there may be local codes and regulations that apply to receptacle installation. It's important to consult with the local authorities to determine the specific requirements in your area. The NEC is a comprehensive set of rules and regulations, but it's not always easy to interpret. If you have any questions about receptacle installation, it's best to consult with a qualified electrician. They can provide guidance on the proper wiring methods, materials, and placement options. Remember that electrical work can be dangerous, and it's always best to leave it to the professionals. They have the knowledge, skills, and experience to safely and effectively install receptacles in accordance with the NEC and local codes. When planning a new hotel construction or renovation project, it's important to carefully consider the receptacle requirements. Work with a qualified electrical contractor to ensure that the electrical system is properly designed and installed. This will help to ensure the safety and comfort of occupants, and it will also help to avoid costly code violations. Firstly, the dimensions of the peninsular counter must be considered. Secondly, the application of NEC 210.52. C3 must be carefully evaluated. Thirdly, the presence of any other dwelling unit characteristics must be considered. Failure to install the required receptacles can result in fines and other penalties. It can also create a safety hazard for occupants. So, it's important to take the receptacle requirements seriously and to comply with all applicable codes and regulations. The NEC is constantly evolving, and it's important to stay up to date on the latest changes. The NEC is updated every 3 years, so it's important to make sure that you have the most current version. You can purchase a copy of the NEC from the National Fire Protection Association, or NFPA, or from other online retailers. You can also find information about the NEC on the NFPA website. In addition to the NEC, There are many other resources available to help you understand receptacle installation requirements. The Electrical Safety Foundation International, or ESFI, is a non-profit organization that provides information and education about electrical safety. The ESFI website has a wealth of information about receptacle installation, including articles, videos, and interactive tools. Another helpful resource is the International Association of Electrical Inspectors, or IE. The IE is a professional organization for electrical inspectors. The IE website has information about electrical codes, standards, and best practices. When working with electricity, it's always important to follow safety precautions. Wear appropriate personal protective equipment, such as gloves and safety glasses. Turn off the power before working on any electrical circuits. And never work on electrical equipment if you are wet or standing in water. Electrical shock can be fatal, so it's important to take all necessary precautions to protect yourself. In summary, if a peninsular countertop in a hotel room meets the dimensional criteria specified in NEC 210.52 C3, a receptacle is indeed required. The specific dimensions are a long dimension of 12 inches or more and a short dimension of 6 inches or more. The absence of required receptacles can lead to code violations and safety hazards. So, compliance with the NEC is crucial for hotel construction and renovation projects to ensure occupant safety and avoid penalties. Always consult with a qualified electrician to ensure proper installation and adherence to all applicable codes and regulations. Always remember that electricity is dangerous and must be respected. So, do not attempt to work on electrical equipment unless you are properly trained and qualified. The NEC contains many tables that address the requirements for electrical installations. For example, Table 310.15. B16 details allowable ampacities of insulated conductors rated up to and including 2000 volts. Always refer to the latest edition of the NEC for the most accurate and up-to-date information. For example, if the receptacle is near a sink, it may require GFCI protection as previously stated. Ground fault circuit interrupter protection is important in wet locations to prevent electrical shock. A ground fault circuit interrupter works by monitoring the current flowing through the circuit. If it detects a difference of 5 mA or more between the outgoing and return current, it will trip the circuit and cut off the power. This can happen if someone comes into contact with a live wire and their body becomes part of the electrical circuit. The ground fault circuit interrupter will trip the circuit before the person is seriously injured. Ground fault circuit interrupters are required in many locations, including bathrooms, kitchens, and outdoor areas. They are an important safety device that can save lives. Electrical safety is everyone's responsibility. By following the NEC and taking appropriate safety precautions, we can help to prevent electrical accidents and injuries. So, the answer to the question is yes, a receptacle is required on a peninsular counter in a hotel if it meets the dimensional criteria outlined in NEC 210.52 C3. This requirement is in place to ensure convenience and safety for hotel occupants.